All right, I am here. Hello. It is good to see you guys on the Doorway to Self page. I am having so many technical difficulties this week. I feel like technology is being like, leave me alone and go into the woods. So I'm probably going to do that after I finish up this video. But I wanted to come on here because last Sunday I did the live Q&A for April, and due to Facebook's new interface, some of your questions got lost, and specifically 3 of your questions got lost. So I wanted to come on and make sure that I addressed those questions, because there's no reason you should wait an entire month to have your questions answered that were not seen. So I do deeply apologize to those of you whose questions were not seen. They, I guess, were not meant to be answered until now. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the very first question that I missed was about somebody was asking about the difference between using clearing herbs. And so they were saying that they normally clear their space by burning cedar. And they were wondering what the difference is, that all of a sudden they were feeling really called to start burning some white pine instead. And so the answer I'm about to give for this, for those of you who migrated over from my personal page just now, thank you for coming over. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry for that mix-up, but you're going to hear this all over again. So my answer for that is probably something you're not necessarily going to love, because it involves going within. So it's all about, what is your relationship with white pine versus with cedar? How do you interact with the two? What do they make you feel like? Maybe what do you make them feel like? And if you don't know what that answer is, just interacting with them, burning them, then I would suggest going into nature, which we should be doing anyways, and spending time with those trees and seeing how you feel with each of them. Really cultivating a relationship with each one of those trees in nature, rooted, grounded, and really seeing how it makes you feel. And then when you are burning, you'll have that, when you're burning their offerings, essentially, you'll have that foundation of that relationship to work off of. And you'll actually notice as well that your space is even cleaner, because they're now working with you instead of you using them. So that's basically my answer to that question. Is the difference between burning the two depends upon what your relationship with them is. I have a very different relationship with Palo Santo than I do with Hierba Santo, than I do with white sage, or whatever, ethically foraged and all of that, I promise. But it's incredibly different. So, there are several different herbs or plants or trees that we can burn to help clear our spaces. And it really is completely about what your personal relationship with them is, what your personal feeling is when you burn them, when you're working with them. So that is my answer to that. I know it's probably not what you wanted to hear, because you probably wanted like a textbook, like, well, cedar is for yada yada and white pine is good for XYZ, and so blah blah blah. But no, this is about you and going within and doing the work. So I hope that's helpful to you. The next question that I missed is re-coronavirus. I hear so many people saying, when will it end, and just wanting to go back to old ways. But how do we lean into this time and build new foundations in a stable way? Long question. Thank you as always. I think this is just genuinely important to answer at this point in time anyways. So thank you so much to Susan, who asked this question. Okay, so firstly, I know a lot of people have been saying that I'm going to take my glasses off. This is a good time to be connecting with yourself. And that's, yes, absolutely. But beyond that, there is this huge energy of clearing out right now. And, I say all the time, as without, so within, as within, so without. our earth is cleansing itself right now. The air is fresher, the air is cleaner, and it's time to make the air within us and within our spaces, within our energies cleaner as well. So this is a really wonderful time to be going through your baggage, okay? This is a great time to be going within and not just connecting with yourself, but maybe doing some shadow work, or maybe, going through your Facebook friends list and starting to weed through some of the people maybe you don't even know, or you don't resonate with their energies anymore, or you just feel like there's a bogging down. Maybe doing some spring cleaning, going through old boxes of things and tossing out or giving away things that feel like they're kind of shackles on your feet at this point. Just really spending this time cleaning your energy. When we're building foundations, like, you don't want to build a foundation on top of a bunch of, rotting garbage. Like, that's not going to be good. That's going to stink up your whole house. So you want to clean the garbage out first, and then maybe till the soil, and then maybe, start pouring your foundation, or building your foundation. So that it's kind of the same thing here. Is like, right now is just a really wonderful time to clean out old junk and see how your space is clearing up, see how it's affecting you, and then at the same time discovering yourself through that process. So maybe doing some heavy duty shadow work if you have the means and the time. Maybe doing some meditation where you're specifically connecting with yourself and learning to fill the empty spaces of what you've just cleared out with this new you type thing. So those would all be ways to do that. And of course, spending this time too, just kind of like really feeling into, what do I want? I feel like we're at this point in time when society's, coming to a halt, really, where it used to be telling us all of these things that we should be doing, right? Like, oh, okay, you should graduate high school. You should go to college. You should get a job. You should be making a ton of money. You should get married. You should have children. Like, all of these things that are shoulds on our shoulders. And, as people say, I love the saying, it's like, stop shooting on yourself. And I think that this is, this really nice 180 turnaround where now the world is wide open, and we're realizing finally, societally, that we can't plan everything out. We can't be going go 24/7. We have to take time for rest. We have to take time to flow with things and to allow time and space for trust. And so going within and really centering yourself to ask yourself the question of, what do I really want in my life? What do I really want my life to look like and feel like? And is it in alignment with all of those things? Maybe you don't. Maybe you're not somebody who wants to get married. Maybe you're not somebody who wants to be in a job that's, 80 hours a week just so that you can make $900,000 a year. Maybe that's not you. And so really, really fine tuning without all of these outer paradigms pushing in on us. What is your purpose? What is your soul screaming for? What do you want? What do you crave? What brings you joy? What brings you, what drives your passion? And taking the time to do that. And also, of course, taking the time to rest right now. We have been pressured societally to go our entire lives, unless, you're somebody who is currently working on themselves and realized, months or years ago that, holy cow, I really need time to rest and I need to build that into my schedule. But even so, even speaking as somebody who has done that, it's still a really difficult thing to do when the outside world is pressuring you to keep a schedule. So, anyways, I think that's my answer to that. I hope that helps. And then the final question that I missed is could you talk about money triggers, what they are and how to lean into them and work with them? I'm sure this is very relevant for a lot of people right now, and I'd love to hear a bit on the astrological side here too. Okay, so I'm going to start with the astrology because it's pretty simple. Actually, it's very complex, but I'm going to give you a very simple answer. Mm. Okay, so simply, we just had our Pluto Jupiter conjunction. I said that really weird. Conjunction. Wow. We just had our Pluto Jupiter conjunction on April 4th or 5th, depending on where you're living in the world. Pluto is the planet of shadow work, going within and seeing where you don't like yourself or what is not meshing with you that makes you uncomfortable. Jupiter is the planet of career, success, money, abundance, blah, 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 right? So those two planets met up in the sky at the exact same point in the sky in the sign of Capricorn, which is all about drive and making money and building things up and, etc. So we have been and are continuing to be, because, I think a lot of the time we think of planetary alignments as like, this is a thing that's happening right now at this exact minute on this exact day, and we're not going to feel the effects now afterwards because it's just about this thing that's happening now. But really, like, it's a ripple, right? So we're still feeling the effects of that, and we probably will be for like years to come. And especially because this specific alignment happens 3 times this year. It happens 3 times in a row every 13 years. And we're in the 13th year. So here we are. The next one happens in June, and then I believe November. But yeah, so we're in this time where we are being asked to basically look at our money stories in general, look at our abundance story, money or not, in general, look at our career stories in general. Lots is going on right now with all of that stuff. And what's really interesting is that Venus, the planet Venus, is also going to be going retrograde here in a couple weeks. So actually, I think in maybe a month. So, Venus being the planet of also abundance, passion, life purpose, love, blah, 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 blah. That's also going to be furthering and deepening this process of really understanding what our purpose is, what our passion is, where do we need to be going, how can we bring in abundance through love. And I know that sounds maybe a little bit cheesy to some people. If I were myself watching this 10 years ago, I'd be like, bringing in abundance through love, okay, like whatever. let me go watch this other thing over here. But it's true. The vibration of love is the highest vibration that we have. And the higher the vibration, the more attraction there is. So in terms of money story, this is a big deal because and I'm going to speak to America right now, what the American society has taught us is that we have to essentially be humans doing rather than humans being. And we need to work in order, obviously you should be working to get money. Like you shouldn't, and I don't mean like working. I mean like doing something, putting something out there because it's all about return. But that we should basically be working ourselves bare in order to do it. And so it's about overworking. It's not about working, it's about overworking. And we've been taught, like you shouldn't be having any abundance if you're not busy. If you're not consistently overworking yourself, if your schedule is not consistently filled up, then you should not be making anything. Or you should be making very minimal. And that's just not the way it is. We are hopefully flipping this thing on its head right now, societally, in terms of I need to be paid what I'm worth. I need to be paid what my time and energy are worth. And, so my hope is that we're going to come out on the other side of this, and not even on the other side of this, but we're going to come out through this, through the virus. We're going to come out to understand that we should be getting paid what we're worth, what our time and energy and services are worth, and we should be paying other people what their time and energy and services are worth. And when we look at money, money is just energy. Like, that's all it is. Money is a metaphysical tool. It is energy. And when we are treating it like, so many people treat it as this bad thing of like, we just, I have so much, I could talk about this for an hour. I'm probably going to do a podcast episode about this. But I'm going to go back to your original question because I feel like I'm now just kind of getting off topic. Money triggers specifically. So yeah, triggers at this point might look like, okay, I lost my job and I can't afford to pay my rent right now. What do I do? So maybe being triggered on needing to ask for help, or maybe being triggered on, what would it be like to be homeless right now? Or maybe being triggered on, okay, I need to live with my family for the next 6 months or 2 months or however long this thing lasts, like that could look like so many different things. So really, like, with money triggers, we have kind of two different aspects of it. So one would be fear of loss and fear of lack and fear of, I'm not going to have enough to do XYZ. So we see that a lot in, like, let's say you are really, really called to go on a retreat, okay? And this retreat is it's just pulling at you. It's like, okay, all right, Susan, like, come on, or whomever. All right, you got to come to this retreat. You got to do this. And you're looking your bank account and you're like, okay, the retreat is $400 and I have exactly $400 in my account. Like, there's no way I can afford that. Okay? Well, yeah, you can afford it, actually, because that $400 is exactly the amount you need for the retreat. So yes, you can afford it. It's just that you're afraid that after that, you're not going to be able to afford your bills or food or, all of these things that are necessary items in our lives. But we need to flip our mindsets to see that those things that are calling us and calling us to be there and calling us to go to them and do them and participate and own them and, whatever it is, when we are really truly feeling this inside of us of like, I need to do or buy XYZ, that money is going to return, because what you're doing is you are investing in yourself. And when you invest in yourself, you become more abundant. And what does abundance attract? More abundance. So if you took that $400 in your account and you spent it on the retreat, then you might meet somebody at that retreat who's like, oh, wow, you spent all of your money to get here? Like, I have such an abundance of money. Let me help you with your bills for the next month. Or, and I know to some people who are really stuck in money story right now, you're probably looking at me going like, okay, this lady's a kook. But really, I have heard stories, I have seen stories, I have been stories that are just like this, where, that abundance just, I'm feeling people feeling this. Thank you for feeling this on the other side of this video. Yes, like, it's going to attract. I want to give you an example. I hosted a workshop a couple months ago, and there was a lady there who said, I literally spent the last of my savings to be at this workshop, and I had no business being here. But I'm here, and I'm so glad I came. And at the end of the workshop, one of the other ladies who was there was like, I know she didn't have money to afford any of your potions, but I really want to send her, or it was soap. I really want to send her soap. And actually it wasn't really even about, I know she didn't have any money. It was more like, I just really feel, okay, I really feel like I want to give this to her. There's something about her that just makes me want to give this to her. And I felt the same way. I had been feeling like, gosh, I really want to like gift her a potion, but that wouldn't be fair to everybody else and blah, 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 whatever. And so this lady wound up, the one who wanted to give the soap, wound up actually contacting me and being like, I really want to give to this person, and I felt weird in the moment trying to do it. Would you send one to her? And so I wound up sending her the soap and one of my potions. And she was like, oh my gosh, what? This is crazy. And so those are, I know like, that's like, you know, a little bit of a small thing is like this soap and this potion, but really it's not, because it is an attributing factor to the clear energy that she was having of this abundance, of this, I invested in myself, and so now other people are giving to me. I invested in myself, and so now it's returning to me. And what's really beautiful is then when that filters down too. So I've seen it also where, you know, somebody who is like, you know, I'll use that retreat example again. Somebody spends their last $400 on the retreat. They go to the retreat. This other woman, you know, man helps them. And, you know, then the person is able to afford the bills for the next month. And not only that, but also they get a raise at work, and they're like, holy cow, what is this? This is like a 200% raise. I got a promotion. This is like, where did this even come from? Like, I've been trying to get this promotion for 4 years now, and like, here it is. And so now they have all of this abundance, and, you know, they meet somebody else who's like, yeah, you know, I'm really having a tough time right now, blah, blah, whatever. But like, I really feel like I need to, you know, purchase this crystal. And there's just something about it that I really know I need it. And so the person now who went to the retreat, who's in all of this abundance, got their promotion, is like, let me buy it for you. And so then they buy them the crystal. And then the person who has the crystal all of a sudden starts attracting all of this other abundance. And then they start giving things away to other people. So it's we have to notice this wave. And I feel like we're consistently bombarded in this society by this greed, by this mindset of like, things don't flow. Things just are boxed in. Things just are like, oh, okay, you know, I have my 70 grand a year and that's what I make, or I have my $200,000 a year and that's what I make, and like, that's mine. And like, I will give what I want to give, and I will choose the charities that I want to give to. But it's not about this flow of like really looking at where the abundance is. And we have been trying to tame money and make it our slave rather than working with the energy of it, rather than working in flow with it, in harmony with it, in understanding it as energy rather than as something to obtain. So that was a very big tangent on that first trigger. So like I said, there are two really big triggers with money, and one is lack. Two is fear of overabundance. What do I do if I can suddenly afford everything I want in my life? What do I do with myself? And I know that sounds really ridiculous, but it's definitely pervasive. It's definitely a thing. There are so many people out there with way too much money, and they don't know what the hell to do with it. You know, people, and this is more common, people who don't have the money and are stopping themselves from being able to call it in because there is this subconscious fear of what life would look like if they actually became abundant in that way. Like, what would life actually be like? I wouldn't be able to complain about my life anymore. And then who would I be as a person? Like, this is all I know how to do, is to complain about how I can't pay the rent, to play this victim role of I can't afford that workshop, you know, whatever it is. And so those are probably the two biggest triggers that we need to look at with money. Is what would it mean if I had abundance? What would that actually mean for me? How would that change me? Am I afraid of that? Why am I afraid of that? And also adding to that too is this idea, if you look at people in our country who do have an abundance of money, they're looked at as horrible people. Like, even if they're amazing people, even if they're super philanthropic and giving and, whatever, it's like as soon as you find out they have money, it's like, ugh, okay, like, you have it easy, or you don't have to struggle like the rest of us do. And there's some sort of pride in, like, that need to struggle for money. And so we need to move out of that. We need to move out of that place of struggle. There doesn't need to be a struggle. We can just align with where we need to be and what we need to be doing, and it will come. It will come. I've been in moments where I was afraid I wouldn't be able to pay my bills the next month, and it came. The money came. So that's all I want to say on that for now. Like I said, I'll probably wind up doing a podcast episode about this at some point in time. Probably not soon. I feel like it wants to percolate a little bit more, but at least this information is out there for you guys on this wavelength for now. Alrighty, I have posted last week's Q&A on YouTube, so if you want to find that replay with the timestamps, you can find it on the Doorway to Self YouTube channel, and I will be posting this as well. As soon as it's done, I'll upload it. And that's about all. Thanks to those of you who came on, and if you don't know me, my name is Rachel. I'm a metaphysical practitioner. Hello. You can follow me on at Doorway to Self on Facebook or Instagram, or at rachel.leah.gerson on Instagram. You can also find my stuff on YouTube. You can also listen to the podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Play, Podbean. Am I missing anybody? It's the Doorway to Self podcast, so just be sure to search for that. Anyways, love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that this was helpful for you. I appreciate those people who have waited very patiently to have their missed questions answered. And I will see you again in May. I don't quite have a date just yet, but I will get one up within the next hour or so. So, anyways, see you guys later. Bye! Enjoy your Saturday.